The war in the Middle East is reaching a whole new level of escalation. For the first time, Iran has attacked a US and British military base on Diego Garcia Island, 4,000 kilometers from Iran, with medium-range ballistic missiles. Meanwhile, the US and Israel attacked the Natanz nuclear facility in Iran, after which authorities in Tehran reported a risk of radiation leakage. In addition, the White House has acknowledged that the US president's administration is developing methods to take control of or seize Iranian nuclear materials, as the military campaign against Tehran led by the US and Israel enters a more uncertain phase. But Iran's strike on Diego Garcia Island has revealed an uncomfortable truth. Iran not only still has missiles, but also missiles with such a long range. This significantly changes the calculations in this war, because until today it was believed that Iran's missiles had a maximum range of 2,000 kilometers, but here the missiles were aimed at a target 4,000 kilometers away. My name is Pechiy. Let's discuss this topic together, but before we start, I want to ask you to support the work of this YouTube channel financially with your donation or a paid sponsorship subscription, or by sponsoring right here on the platform. Under this video, you need to click the join button, or you can use the QR code on your screens. This is actually the most convenient way to make a one-time donation. I will be grateful for any support you can give, but you can do this at the end of this episode. And don't forget to subscribe to my Telegram channel Pechiy News. The link is in the description of this video. There we post breaking news as it comes in. So Iranian medium-range missiles attacked the Diego Garcia military base in the Indian Ocean, which is used by the US and the UK. 2 missiles were launched on the night of March 21st. According to the Wall Street Journal, neither of the missiles reached their target. One missile malfunctioned in flight, and for the second one, an American destroyer launched an SM-3 interceptor missile. The Iranian Mayor Agency called the attack a significant step, adding that it exceeds what the enemy previously imagined. But that's really the case, and moreover, this fact completely shatters Trump's claims that the US has already destroyed all of Iran's missile capabilities, and therefore, as Trump himself stated, it's time to wrap up this operation. Just a few hours before this attack, Trump stated that the US was close to achieving its goals in the war against Iran, and was even considering winding down the military campaign. As the goal of the operation, he named the complete destruction of Iran's missile capabilities and defense industry, the elimination of its naval and air forces, including all air defense systems, as well as preventing Tehran from getting closer to developing nuclear weapons. Another objective, according to Trump, is to provide the highest level of protection for Washington's allies in the region, including Israel, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates. Well, I don't know how the Gulf monarchies who are currently being targeted reacted to that statement, and especially considering that Trump went on to say that we, meaning America, don't need the Strait of Hormuz at all. So let those who need it worry about it and try to unblock it. Speaking about the situation in the Strait of Hormuz, the American president said that its security should be ensured by the countries that use it. Quote, "The United States will not do this. We will help these countries in their efforts, but there should be no need for this once the threat from Iran is eliminated." But it seems that Trump is declaring the winding down of the military campaign too early. The fact is that the Diego Garcia base is located about 4,000 kilometers from Iran. This is twice the previously stated range of Iranian missiles. Allow me to remind you, Iran's foreign minister, Abbas Araghchi, claimed last month that Tehran had deliberately limited the range of its missiles to 2,000 kilometers so that Iran would not be perceived as a threat. The current attack means that Iran has missiles with a longer range than it previously admitted, and for the first time demonstrates the ability to threaten US interests outside the Middle East. And now it can be said that essentially most of Europe could be in Tehran's crosshairs. That is, they could reach all the way there. Diego Garcia is considered one of the most important strategic military facilities of the United States. It is from this island, located in the Chagos archipelago in the Indian Ocean, that the United States can deploy heavy bombers, nuclear submarines, and destroyers, and at the same time remain at a relatively safe distance. In turn, Donald Trump lashed out at the British again, who in fact own the base on this island of Diego Garcia, which the Americans are not allowed to use. He called the UK's reaction belated regarding the decision to allow the US to use British bases for strikes on Iranian targets related to the blockade of the Strait of Hormuz. The situation is further complicated by the fact that Britain had previously decided to transfer the island of Diego Garcia to Mauritius, but the British retained the right to use the military base. And now Trump, he says, quote, "I was a little surprised by Britain. They should have acted much faster." And here I want to say right away, they didn't have to. Donald Trump, nobody owes you anything at all, especially considering how badly you treated your NATO allies. But as an argument for why they didn't have to, I'll quote not my own words, but the words of retired French General Michel Yakovlev. And these are just rock-solid arguments. Next, I'll just give you a quote. Generala Michela Yakovleva. We have at least 5 reasons to say no to Trump. The first reason is that he didn't understand. If he wants to carry out a NATO operation, then NATO should take command of it. Это должна быть You can't have an American operation where they bomb everything indiscriminately, while at the same time, on a different level, the Europeans are doing something completely different. No, no, no. It should be a single operation under the NATO flag. I don't think he realized that when he was preparing the operation. Trump's strategic goals, aside from the task of unblocking the strait, remain vague and clearly undefined. If NATO countries were to consider the possibility of their participation, they would need the United States to clearly and explicitly state in writing exactly what those goals are. And we're not talking about tweets here. There's also another problem, the lack of trust in Trump. It's well known that he regularly abandons his allies to their fate. Trump is like the captain of the Titanic trying to sell cheap tickets for his voyage after already hitting the iceberg. So there are plenty of reasons to say no. But it's also worth remembering another important episode of this war, which happened just this past Saturday. Iran reported on March 21st that the US and Israel struck its uranium enrichment plant in Natanz. According to information from Iran's state media, there was no radiation leak and local residents were not put in danger. By the way, this is already the second time the facility has been attacked since the start of this war between the US, Israel, and Iran. At the same time, it is reported that the administration of US President Donald Trump is developing methods to take control of or seize Iranian nuclear materials. The planning is focused on the possibility of deploying ground forces from the United States Joint Special Operations Command, an elite military unit often tasked with the most sensitive missions to counter the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction. American officials say that the Trump administration does not rule out the possibility of attempting to seize Iran's stockpiles of highly enriched uranium as part of the ongoing military campaign. So the war is clearly moving to a new level. I'll leave it at that. Share your opinions and conclusions in the comments below this episode. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and don't forget to like. And let me remind you that I would appreciate any support you can give to this project. Канала, как это сделать, все... Links and details are in this video's description. That's all for now. Take care. Goodbye, everyone.